All right, everyone. We're gonna look at OGN today on this lovely Sunday before market open. As futures are live right now, which I don't know. I don't ever watch futures too much. Sometimes they mean something, sometimes they don't. But OGN saw this today and don't know anything about it. So I always like to do three things. I will look at the current valuation, the latest earnings, and the other things to consider, whether that's, founder-led company, insider buys or sells, short interest, total outstanding shares, those sorts of things. And this is meant to be kind of a discovery, give you something new to look at if you're looking for something to buy or whatever in the stock market. So OGN, what is this thing? Global healthcare company, engaged in developing and delivering health solutions through a portfolio of prescription therapies and medical devices within women's health. 70 medicines and products across a range of therapeutic areas. Okay, so not what I thought it was. I thought this was a marijuana company, but I think that's OCGN, which is what I was thinking of. So, okay, some sort of therapy, medical devices type company. Let's look at their latest earnings. So, year over year, it's flat. Basically no revenue growth. In fact, it shrunk just a tiny bit, and then the cost of sales actually went up. So, alright. And you can see gross profit went down year over year. G&A is basically flat, went down slightly. Research and development went down slightly. At this point, it's offset the gross margin decrease. Big goodwill impairment. Yo. What is that? What is the goodwill impairment on OGM stock? I know it's in the filing, but I'm just gonna look here. Let's see. Yep, we saw that. Underperformance of certain U.S. products and a decline in value of the reporting unit. One-time non-cash. Okay, so we won't see that again. But note that impairment this is just a one-time thing that they'll probably use to, it's just an accounting trick, so it doesn't affect their cash flow. So we'll have to go look at that here. Interest expense has gone down. So that's making me think they've paid off some debt maybe, but then also you're like, oh, these guys have a lot of debt. So they have quite a bit of debt. We'll, check that later. And then you got, some income. Looks like a one-time income. What was the one-time other income listed on OGN's latest earnings? Was about 66 million. Bum 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 bum. Okay, licensing rights. Acquisition related spending, one-time investment activity. Okay, interesting. Let's see. And then you got a net loss this quarter year over year, but they wouldn't have had a loss if it weren't for this goodwill impairment. So look at that. It would have been close. It would have been close because this kind of offsets it. They would have, but their net income would have been like basically cut in half. So that's kind of interesting. I want to see in this. For some reason, I couldn't find their balance sheet in here. So I'm going to have to just ask ChatGPT. The main thing I want to know, how much debt and how much cash on hand does OGM stock? And actually, we could probably check it. Yeah, oh my goodness, that's a lot of debt. 8.64 billion total debt. They got a good cash runway, but this debt is just going to be serviced, forever pretty much because, they are making money, but not a lot. So that interest expense isn't going down anytime soon. Not necessarily a bad thing, but just watch the, it's tricky because if you're not growing anymore and you still have this big debt burden, it's kind of like, because most companies will use that debt to kind of, for early term growth and those sorts of things. If they're not growing anymore, then they just have this big debt burden. So that's tough to see. Let's see. I just want to check if this view gives me any insights here. Basically flat revenue for the past 5 years. COGS has grown. 2.1 billion to about 2.9 billion. So that's a growth in COGS. You don't love to see that. And you see the correlated gross profit decrease. And operating income has been going down. So let's just look at the balance sheet real quick. Yeah, look at this long-term debt. It is going down, but very slowly. 5 years, that's very slow decrease. I wanted to check this operating cash flow because they did that accounting trick where they had a big goodwill impairment. So this is a big deal, but you can see I'm not seeing too much. Something happened here, holy. Between 2021 and 2022, that's a big drop. But the operating cash flow is staying slightly, it's basically flat. And then this financing cash flow is telling me that at least they're not issuing shares. Let's see. Why is the financing cash flow on Organon negative? Are they buying stock back? Yeah, buybacks, reducing debt repayment. So that's good. So they're slowly paying it off. That's good to see. But they're not growing anymore, and Wall Street doesn't like that. Because Wall Street's going to be like, okay, you're a company that's staying flat and you're slowly paying off your debt. Wall Street's not, they're not going to love that. Here's their free cash flow here. So this financing right here, that's good. At least they're not diluting. I do want to see, are they buying back shares? Has the total share count changed over the past 5 years? It looks like been kind of flat. Yeah, so hasn't changed at all. Okay. That's sort of interesting. So for the valuation, market cap of 3 billion. P ratio trailing 12 months is 12. Yeah, so you gotta ask yourself on this one, if they're making about, what was it? I'm gonna say that every quarter they're making about 100 million. So then, because this right here, there was some weird stuff that happened this quarter. So I'm gonna assume that they're making about 400 million every year. And so then you ask yourself, do you need $3 billion to make 400 million every year? This valuation actually seems kind of low to me, and the shares outstanding is low as well. Which is good to see. Less volume needed to move the stock. But the valuation isn't terrible, but it also could be kind of like valuation. So it's such a tricky metric because it's kind of like, well, sure, this is maybe undervalued, but it's like, well, but it's not growing, hasn't been growing, and it's sitting on $8 billion of debt. So it's kind of like, what's going to stop this 5-year downturn trend, there has to be some sort of catalyst that changes that or turns it around. So that's kind of my thought on the valuation. Let's see what upcoming catalysts does OGN stock in 2026. Okay, earnings, yeah. What is this? Pipeline product. One of the few growth assets could expand into larger dermatology markets. Okay, so that's interesting. They got some sort of new product that they're going to start selling because they're like a healthcare thing. Takeover speculation. This is what I saw trending when I saw the stock today, is that there was speculation over like an acquisition. Now you see that speculation a lot. High debt, low valuation. Yep. So that's what we saw with the low valuation. It's like, sure, it's cheap. Doesn't mean that the company itself can pull out of that. But if you're some other healthcare company and you're kind of like, man, we really want their revenue and we have the cash to take care of their debt, that could be a buyout. And so if that happens, yeah, you're looking at a re-rating. So this is interesting. There could be something here. And I will note, there's a lot of speculation all the time in the market over takeover. So, but maybe there's that's one to watch. Okay, looks like they got a some sort of audit thing that they're doing with. Uh-oh, look at this. The uncomfortable truth. Lack of strong catalysts. Yeah, flat revenue, declining legacy drugs. Stock is trading on balance sheet story. Yeah, this is a waiting story. So I'd say the most interesting thing is maybe a takeover speculation, and they got this new product coming out. So that's interesting. Cool stock. Never heard of it before. Kind of a different industry that I haven't looked at before. So if you're in this, or if you know more about it, let me know. If whether you want to buy it or short it or whatever, I'm just here to learn about it. So this has been a good look. So all right, I will see you guys in the next one.